Welcome back to another episode of Bridging the Gap. Today, I'm really excited for this episode because you've been seeing me, if you're following me on Instagram, you've been seeing me post and talk a lot about one subject, which is closing deals. You see, I'm very passionate about this because it's allowed me to live a life of freedom. And today, we have a man who's mastered this exact same skill set. His name's David Wayner. Welcome to the podcast.
Nice to be on, Bridger. I'm looking forward to chatting with you and kind of going through each other's stories and going back and forth on what's one of my favorite things. So,
yeah. Dude, I'm excited, man. It was funny because, you and I have been friends for a while now. And one of the things that I look up to you about the most is, dude, you're 20 years old. You're 20 years old. Good looking guy right here, right? Unfortunately, ladies, he is off the table. Okay, he's taken, okay? But he's a good looking cat and he's crushing it right now in business. And David, how much did you make your first month as a freedom closer?
I made $12,000 in my first 30 days. So that was no business experience before that. I made $12,000. So that was definitely kind of a wake up call to what's possible coming from, just being in college and not realizing that's even a thing.
Dude, that's insane, man. And so walk me through, like, since then, how much have you closed? Like, how much have you pulled in for yourself?
Yeah, over that time period. I mean, as far as like deals closed, I've closed over $1 million
wow.
in the past year. But just as far as what I've earned, I mean, well into the 6-figure range. So
6 figures plus, wow. And you're 19 or you're 20 years old now. And
19 a month ago, 20.
Wow, he literally just turned 20.
Yeah,
that's incredible, dude. So I want to take us back to when you first started this journey, because I want to just learn, like, what inspired this transformation and this growth. Like, what was it in your life? What did you have going on that was like, how'd you get started in the whole closing industry?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I actually started with I was doing photography, so it was kind of just like a sort of hobby for me. And then I made a little bit of money with it, and I was like, wow, the whole concept of business is really fun. And I was like, this would be a cool side hustle. And then at that point, I actually got interested in the online business space. And then I got interested in what's called SMMA. So it was basically running an agency. And then through that business model, I learned sales. That was the single most important thing I learned, and that I kind of realized I had a talent for. And taking that, literally, I was doubling what I was earning every single month for the first 3-4 months. And it was kind of a shock for me, just realizing, wow, like this is even possible.
I mean, dude, just look at that chain, dude. I mean, that did you just show the viewers, dude. Show the viewers what we got going on here, dude. Look at that bling bling, dog.
The chain and the watch. We both got the roly.
The roly polies, dude. You got. Listen, guys, this is the sign of a true freedom closer. You're ripping the roly, okay?
You gotta keep track of your calls.
You gotta keep track of your time, guys, because time is money as a freedom closer. But yeah, so I mean, dude, you're sitting on what is this? Like, dude, you have a couple other watches too, right? That you didn't bring?
I do. I have a couple other.
He's a big fan of watches. You're showing me off camera. Your AP is clean.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I will say, it's as far as if you can invest in a watch or a car, at least a watch appreciates, right? So it's an investment.
That's what he's telling himself.
That's what I'm telling myself. That's what I'm praying.
That's what he's praying. Okay, sweet. So David, you've got, you got the bling bling, right? You got the good looks. Walk me through how you got started in closing, right? Like, because I think a lot of people, not everyone's going to have the same results, but what do you think separated you from someone who comes in and makes $3,000 or $4,000 their first month and you coming in making 12? Like, what were the things you were thinking? How were you operating your day? Like, what was it about you that separates, what do you think is about you that separates you from everyone else?
Sure. So, I mean, the interesting thing is that when I started with, I was first month, it was my agency, it was my business, and I was a business owner. And, as I've become, more advanced in the space, running a business is awesome. It's a great thing to work towards. But what actually allowed me to double my income every single month for, I guess it was the first, 4 months that I was just doubling my income every single time from that first month. It was closing for other agencies. Yeah. So I wasn't just running my own agency, because the problem there was a bottleneck. It was the amount of time it took for me to fulfill deals. So what I would do is I would take the calls from my agency, but then I I think I ended up closing at a total of like 9 different niches. So that's like solar, landscaping, roofing. I ended up like doing sales in like 9 different industries for the agency space for a bunch of different people. And I was making commissions off those. And what that did is like when I earned the money, it was mine, right? I didn't have to, with my agency, if there was a chargeback, it came straight from my bank account. If I had to do a business expense, it came straight from my bank account. If I have to fulfill for a client, take the time to do client success management, all of that stuff. It came directly from my day versus I take a 40-minute call, a 30-minute call, a 15-minute call, and then I'm getting wired, between $500 to $1,000 within an hour or two. And it's like the difference between the how complex it was starting my own business versus running, doing sales was night and day for me. And now, at this point, I have a more business focused kind of, I'm in a more business focused period of my life. But if I were to do it over again, I wouldn't have even started my agency. I would have just closed for other businesses.
Yeah, because you didn't start off right in remote closing. You kind of stumbled into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you stumbled into it. You started your agency, and then the problem is if you do start your own agency like David did, what ended up happening, right, with all those clients?
There are a million things I had to learn, right? So you have to learn Facebook ads. You have to learn how to use apps like Go High Level, different CRMs. You have to set up business managers. If a business manager goes down, that's a headache. If an ad account gets hacked and it spends your client's money, you have to deal with that. Contracts, agreements, legal stuff. Like it's just, an LLC. There's so many different things you have to worry about when you're running a business. And I love it. Like it's great now. I have like a team. I have people I work with. But when you're starting out, when you're trying to go up against 100, 200, 300K a month agencies and you've got zero experience, it's scary. And it's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort and it doesn't reward you that much versus if you go in, you learn sales and you make money off of that, you have 10, 20K, 30K after a couple of months. You've got experience. You've seen other businesses that you've worked within and how they run. Starting your own business is so easy. And I've talked with my partner Tanner. I've talked with him about it. And it's like we both would have started as closers if we could like go back. Now, where I am, I'm super grateful for, and I'm glad I learned the skills I did. But starting as a closer is just such like a hack in terms of making money and kind of breaking into the online space. Yeah,
totally. And it's something that you can do for months and years to come. Like when I was closing like at B&B Formula, for example, with Caleb Maddox, who was running the sales team, and Brian Page, who was the offer, like there was men, grown men in their 30s and 40s, and even in their 50s and 60s that were setting and closing.
Yeah.
Making money to provide for their family. So this isn't like a flash in the pan, trendy Bitcoin, SSMA. Like, no, this is something that you can learn and you can sustain and get better and better at year after year and make money. That's why I'm just so passionate about it. And something that I still do. Like, you literally saw me earlier today.
You're making handing out 20K as a side hustle.
Exactly. I'm taking 10, 15 calls a week, closing an extra 20 grand a month in commissions, right? And so it's like that.
And that money's yours. The difference is
free and clear.
Yeah. When you're a business,
liabilities.
There's a ton of liabilities, and you really don't feel like it's truly your money until like a couple of months later. Versus as like a closer, you get your commission checks, and you can go use it however you want.
Your employer's not charging back your commissions.
Exactly.
Unless you get the clawbacks like I did. I had a month there. I don't know if I told you this.
You had 20K in clawbacks.
Dude, $21,000 in clawbacks. I made 23 grand that month, but 21,000 came out.
That's actually a reason.
Ridiculous.
Like I always, when I like talk to people, like I always recommend they get placed by like a placement agency or by like, if they go through like a training and they can actually get placed in a business. Cause I think one of the biggest, now, being a closer is easier than being a business owner. The one thing you do struggle with as a closer, just if you're going out on your own, is there's so many people that one, it's hard to get a job sometimes, but you get a job and it's a bad job and they have a clawback policy and then you're kind of stuck either, I've had times where I didn't get paid commissions and I wish I'd just gotten placed by like someone that had business connections and had already pre-vetted the business. And they just placed me in there and then I was able to make the money and not have to worry about if I was going to get paid. But
yeah, no, dude, I'm right on that same page. And in fact, that's when I was able to actually go to the next level with my closing career, because the next opportunity I was able to, it was through one of my connections that I built in the industry. And that opportunity eventually took me to a place where I was making consistent 20, 30. I even hit a $35,000 a month, 10, 12. It was a $12,000 a week. So yeah, man, it's exciting. So like, what kind of tips do you have for someone who's watching this, that's thinking about getting started, maybe dabbling? Like, you know, what was your process? Because I know a lot of people, you know, might think, oh, David's just a special child. But like, how much work did you put in? And did you have a mentor or somebody kind of guiding the way?
Yeah. So as far as, you know, what I would recommend. Now, what I did versus what I'd recommend, slightly different, because obviously, like, I didn't know everything when I was starting. What I recommend is definitely get someone to lead you through the process. So one of the biggest things I learned is, like, you know, even if you have, you know, 5, 10, less than that grand to your name, if you have the opportunity to invest in something that's going to ROI in the next 2-3 months, and you're learning a skill, it's almost always worth it. So the amount of money I've invested in masterminds, and I know with you too, is insane. You know, it's like, it's a huge chunk of what we earn that we just put back into education. So having like someone to guide you, a mentor, a program, whatever, can be super helpful. And I know, and I've seen like people that work with you and have been trained by you, it's the process is so fast, right? Mm-hmm. They literally get like one-on-one mentorship, and it's like, when you learn from someone that's making 20K with a side hustle closing, it's hard not to make at least 5, 10, 15K a month starting out. Mm-hmm. So I definitely recommend getting a mentor. The other thing is just like, I took a ton of my time and just invested it into learning and actually doing stuff. A lot of people will just end up watching YouTube videos, and that's actually one of the main traps. It's like, a lot of the information's on YouTube, but to find it and to like find a consistent path to follow versus just having like a program, so step by step of how to do it, takes a huge amount of your time. So taking action, finding a program that you're going to follow, someone you resonate with, whose style you like and you feel like you could imitate, and then using them as a mentor, either their program, something like that. It's just the fastest way to fast track it. Now, it might not be for everybody, but I'd say for 90-95% of people, especially if they're serious about it, it makes a lot of sense to have someone kind of guide you through the process. That's my opinion on it, at least. So
yeah, I think YouTube is an incredible platform. I love YouTube, right? We put all these podcasts on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube and Spotify. But what I've found is that YouTube is really like a discovery platform. It's like when you're kind of stuck, you're trying to figure something out, you already kind of know, you're already problem aware. But a lot of the times, you know, as you start to go down that process, you don't even realize you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So then you may watch one video on objection handling, but you miss, you know, all the other elements of the sales process, right? So you're just kind of like, the way I like to describe it is you're just like taking all the information that you would need to be successful as a closer, and you're just smacking it on like a doll. You're trying to build this doll. It's just like, it's kind of like this Frankenstein knowledge. And then people wonder, they come to me after they've been kind of Frankenstein put all their information together for sales, the high ticket sales, and they wonder why they can't get hired. Because now the business owner, and this is the struggle I had when I was running Kino Body Coaching, I had to teach these people how to unlearn everything that wasn't working.
The thing is, like, sales is it's like a hard skill. There's a science to it, but it's also a soft skill. So it's not like calculus, where you learn calculus from person A and you learn calculus from person B, and you're still doing calculus.
Yeah.
Like sales
is an art form.
Exactly. So it's literally something where it's a soft skill, which means that it's a ton of little hard skills combined to create a sort of, an art. And it's beautiful because it means that people that are introverted, people that are extroverted, people that talk fast, people that talk slow, they all can excel at it, even though it looks very different call to call. But when you take, for example, I love Jeremy Miner. I love what he teaches, super valuable, really good teacher, but his style didn't resonate with me and it felt unnatural. I resonate more with the style that Bridger follows, which I feel like most people do, which is sort of a more simple approach. I think that sometimes some people like to overcomplicate it, and that's great. But for me, what helped was realizing like I had a style that resonated with me. It resonated with my personality. It was simple. It was straightforward. And I felt like when I got on those calls, I didn't feel like I was a robot trying to calculate stuff in my head. I felt like I was talking to someone. And the mindset shift there where you feel like natural and comfortable on calls is just huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that's what I've really put together with, some of the systems that I teach with my, Freedom Closer Blueprint. But really, if I were to sum it up, it's bridging the gap between where a person is and where they want to be. And if you just come into a sales call with that mindset, that alone will transform your entire experience. Because if you shift from just trying to push a product down their throat or trying to pin this person into like, okay, how can I make my product or service fit for that person?
Yeah.
Versus how can I truly listen and understand this person and build a real connection, establish authority as an expert so that I've got the frame, and then consult and advise and help them bridge the gap and see if our product and program is the bridge to solve their gap.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's like when you have like a simpler, more natural sort of concept behind what you're trying to do on those calls, everything kind of flows. It's sort of downhill from there because you're just naturally bringing a prospect towards what they're looking for, and you realize you're helping them make a decision, right? You're helping them decide yes or no, and yes if it makes sense, and no if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
and that's the difference between, I guess, persuasion and manipulation. One is you're guiding someone to make a decision that's going to better themselves, better their life that they should be making, versus forcing, shoving a product down their throat they don't need. And I don't know, ethically, like I can't imagine trying to follow that method, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important, right? Because if you're going to sleep well at night and have a long and fruitful life, you must align what you believe in your head and your heart with your actions in your hands and how you live your life. And this is where I see a lot of people nowadays falling down in their way of living. They're compromising their values. They're compromising their character for a specific method or a specific way that doesn't align with their true essence of who they are and who they were born to be. And that's when you can start to get some dangerous territory. That's when you really start to dive deep into depression, into anxiety, because you're actually putting on a fake for the world. You're living inauthentic to the real version of you. So what are some ways that, for the audience watching that are, looking to get started in living a true authentic life, a life of freedom? What are some tactical things that you think someone at home can start to do to really start to put themselves in a position where they can, bounce back from a breakup or can start to make the money they want online, live a life of freedom? Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I'd say is kind of identify what it is you even want, right? So for some people, I mean, like my parents don't really care about money. It's not a motivator for them. And so I would never recommend like for people like them, they have their own passion and that's what they care about. And they're able to succeed with that over time. It took longer, but that's awesome. But then there are other people where they really like work is a sort of stepping stone to a life of freedom where you're able to enjoy what your time with your friends, your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, and really get to enjoy the world. And then if that's your goal, if it's to kind of remove money from the picture, make that a non-factor, and you're just able to focus on other things, then you need to figure out a path to that. So sales is the path I would take. I would recommend to 90% of people that are wanting to get started online. And then you just need to learn. You need to learn how to do that, and you need to remove the fear of, a lot of people have this sort of mental block, this limitation of, I can't do that. Like that stuff's fake. People aren't succeeding with it. Even I kind of like, considered that before I started. I was like, what if all of this is just like a money-making scheme? There are a lot of money-making schemes online, but the truth is that like after having done it, I know that like you can make real money with closing. It's a legit business. There's a reason sales is the highest paid industry in the world. So I want to know, right, because you've spent a lot of time in the industry, over a year. Yeah.
What's a day in the life? What can someone expect if they get started in remote high ticket sales as a freedom closer?
The funny thing is that it's really not that complicated, because when I was like running the business and now running businesses and having like multiple offers in like my portfolio at this point, it's like you have like a bunch of different things you have to take care of. As a closer, you wake up, you fast because it's the Kino Body lifestyle. You
make sure you intermittent fast, guys. Come on.
Shout out to Greg.
Shout out to the man.
you fast, and then you check your calendar. You have like a block of time that you're going to be taking calls. You sit down with your coffee. You pick up your phone or you hop on Zoom. You talk to a couple of people. You explain to them why it makes sense. If it makes sense, you collect your money. Then at like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whenever you want, 2 o'clock if you want, after you're done taking a few calls, you've collected some cash, you're done. And then that's it.
Collect a paycheck every Friday.
Yeah, you get weekly, bi-weekly paychecks are most common. You see fat commissions coming in, and if, I really want to go to, fucking Arizona, DC, wherever you want to travel.
Mexico, a lot of people do Mexico, Costa Rica.
You take a few extra hours of calls one week, boom, your commission check is an extra 2, 3, 4K. You just covered your trip. It's like the fact that you can, if you need to pay for something, you can. Yeah. You with a normal job, it's like, monthly or bi-weekly, you're getting the same amount. So it's like, I want to go to Costa Rica. Okay, I can go in 4 months. It's
right. Like, you got to calculate it out. It's so long. Yeah. And with remote sales, you don't get paid per hour. You get paid per deal you close. So that's why the skill gap and the people that make the most amount of money, the people that make the least amount of money in sales, there's such a huge gap. It's because of the skill gap.
And that's why you're making 20K as like a part-time closer. You're working 15 hours or less a week, 15 calls, which is really more like probably 10 hours. and then you're depending on how fast you can knock them out, but like 10 hours a week. And then you're making like what, 5K off of that?
Roughly? Yeah, making an extra 5K a week.
Yeah, it's like good cover. It doesn't quite cover this the rent here, but you can almost cover the rent with that 5K.
We're close.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't recommend you get a penthouse when you start, but you can get that a few weeks in.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a cool lifestyle, and like a lot of people ask me like, Bridger, can you mentor me? Can you coach me? And like, the reality is, guys, like I can only work with so many people one-on-one, right? So only so many people can come out, actually train with me in person, right? Or train with me one-on-one via Zoom. And so the good news is we are actually working on hiring coaches. Okay. We're hiring coaches that have been through the training, through the certification. So if you ever, if you know anybody that you feel like would be a killer sales coach and they're willing to go through my training, willing to be humbled, would love for you to send them my way via Instagram. Shoot me a DM. We are going to be expanding the team shortly, but yeah, if anybody wants to get involved with my program, Dave, where did you get signed up?
Yeah, I mean, so basically, I'm sure you can link it in the description and stuff, but it's also on your Instagram. But you have your course, which is super helpful, kind of walks you through how to start. Obviously, like going through that, I actually picked up a number of things watching through the program. But I'd been in the space for a while, and then I know you do weekly calls where you're kind of helping answer questions for the people that are struggling with different stuff, and then you've got your sort of inner circle group where you're kind of what I would have looked for when I started, which is like you personally make sure that these people are stone cold killers on the phone, and then you place them in a business, and then they have a guaranteed 6-figure income at that point. So yeah, that's if I missed anything there, but having gone through it, it's really good. A lot of good knowledge, and then just the network is extremely valuable. So
yeah, I love it. Is there anything else you feel like we have not covered yet in the show that you feel like would be important for either you to share or that you feel like the audience would benefit from?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to at some point we can sit down and kind of even do like a master class on some of the topics and share some of the value that's in that program. It's literally like $3 so might as well just get that. But we could do a master class on different topics, and then I think the last thing I'll say is like the biggest thing that limits people is fear. And until you kind of get in the space, all the mindset stuff sounds cliche and kind of woo woo. But the truth is that like what ends up happening is you have fears from your past that you imagine, that you're worried about, fear of the unknown, fear that you're going to fail again. And the truth is what you have to do is you have to identify that fear. You have to look at like what's different now. Like, how did I learn from that and how am I different now? So that same thing that I'm scared of won't happen again. And once the fear is gone, the limitation is gone, and that's where you can really excel. And that's the difference between you look up, all right, is making money online real? And you see people on Reddit with, their neck beard and like being 80 pounds overweight. And they're like, no, this is all a scam. They just teach stuff. They don't actually do it. It's like those people versus you or someone that's able to actually make money online. And it's like, how else do you afford this place, right? Like, how else do you afford the watch? How else do you afford the ability to travel to Europe and do all the things you dream of? It's like, clearly it's possible. And it's the fear is the biggest difference between people that make it and don't. So
yeah. So David, right? You are still in school, right?
I'm basically kind of finishing up the last few classes for college. So
was there a lot of skepticism or hate from your college students, or did everyone just support you and love you? Like, did you have to fight about that?
There's so many people that were like, "There's no way I would do it." More high school haters than college, which is funny, but. But yeah.
What did they say real quick before we wrap it up?
I mean, people are just like, when you post content and you're
making fun of you.
Hustling. Yeah. It's like, people are like, oh, like, look at this dude, no friends, like in his house, just kind of, doing his little business thing. And then it's like,
because a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours. How many parties and meetups did you skip in order to be successful and have the roly-poly?
A lot, but
guys, this watch comes at a price. Okay,
you gotta sacrifice a lot of hours with friends, and I had a couple people like a couple really close friends that and my girlfriend was super supportive. They like kind of believed in me from the very beginning. That meant a ton, and like those people are obviously still in my life, but they're like so many people that were like just no faith that I'd do anything.
Wow.
And then the funny thing is that after I started making money, guess who slid into my DMs, right?
Whoa!
but whatever.
Asking for loans, man. The loan sharks.
You know how many people ask for loans? Is insane. I'm like, go to American Express or something. That's what they do.
Yeah, I ain't a loan business.
If I gave a loan to everybody that asked me for a loan, I would have no money right now.
Dude, that's why you got into the credit business, dude.
That's how you got to do the funding company.
All right, guys, we're going to keep it raw. Okay, we're going to keep it real. David makes more money than neurosurgeons after 8 years plus their internship, right? And he's 20 years old. So I just wanted to show you guys, number one, that it's possible. That if he can do it and I can do it, then you can do it, okay? So if you're on the fence about it, hit the first link in the description. Check it out for yourself. You should be skeptical. It's 2024 and there's a lot of BS out there. So keep your eyes peeled, but I promise you when you look between the lines, you're gonna be very, very impressed. Guys, I am Bridger Rogers. This is Bridging the Gap, and together we will bridge the gap. Till next time.